Every time we fly our priorities in a VFR day, so a clear day, we should always be looking underneath us as we fly on our flight plan. We talked about making a flight plan where we're not flying in just a direct line, where we're able to put our position of flight over fields, over less dense areas, giving us a higher chance of, should something happen, I have a place to go. So it's really just being aware of the terrain that you are over and what outs you have should you have an engine failure or an emergency up at altitude. So desert terrain, you always think it's just sand and that's the easiest place to land. But deserts have their own unique features. They can have large rock structures that are stuck inside that sand, large pits and potholes which appear to be flat. Cactuses are actually quite rigid and can catch up your wings and flip you over. Try to do a soft field landing anytime you're not landing on hard paved terrain. Bring the aircraft to the slowest speed that it will fly at and bring it down on those main gear. That will help soften the blow. Of course, tighten your seatbelts, keep that door open, and prepare for a form of impact if you're heading towards any type of terrain or cactus that might be in the desert. So landing into a mountain is one of the trickiest things that we could ever be faced with. One of the recommendations is if there happens to be any area on the side of the canyon where there's a gravel bed dried up, where there may have been a river or water, that's your best chances in mountainous terrain. You don't want to land sideways into a mountain because it will absolutely cartwheel your aircraft, it will tear the wings off, and you will become a fatality in that. It's almost impossible to land. Now, if you land at the top of a mountain where there might be some grades with, again, canopy trees or an alpine section, that increases your odds, but as we're losing our engine, you're going to be going down. Your first thought isn't, I need to get back up to land at the top of the mountain. It's, I'm going down, I need to find the safest place below me. That's why it's really important to get mountain training. Mountain training is so important for folks that plan on flying in any cavern, any canyon, because of the ability of winds that can change your flight path, right? Updrafts, downdraft, crosswinds. And if we lose an engine or we need to turn around at any point to avoid weather, we just don't have enough radius before our wings strike the insides of those mountains. That deciduous terrain, really what we're looking at is the tree tops. So if we see large branches that are sticking out, what can support the weight of my aircraft, but also what is soft enough to support me where those large branches won't penetrate through the aircraft and potentially kill me? That is a really big question. So the best advice is, again, you're doing that soft field landing, you're cushioning yourself inside those tree tops, and hopefully the wings will catch on a branch, slowing the impact. There isn't a whole lot you can do. Some people say that they would prepare by sliding their seat into the full aft position. Remember, your forces are going to be opposite, so as we come into those trees, as far away from that flight deck as possible would be my top choice, because the impact of any penetration, the engine, or that cockpit moving towards me, and of course my yoke or my stick pulling back towards my chest, the further away, the better. So learn how to use your seat and how to quickly eject yourself into the back position. And that may help significantly is with the CG of tipping the tail back to keep the nose as high as possible. And then once you're in the trees, you don't want to move around. If you are supported by the trees, you're going to stay as still as possible, because if you start moving around, that aircraft could then have a second collision as it falls to the ground. And our emergency crews are trained in how to secure an aircraft for a stabilization in the tree, and hopefully using a hoist basket to get us back down. If we were to land in a traditional tricycle position of wheels, so wheels that are extended, it can clip the water and flip the aircraft over. And that puts a risk to the pilot, right? They might bump their head, they might become unconscious, and they won't be able to egress out of that aircraft. But if we keep our gear retracted, if we have that option, it will land on its belly, it will stabilize, and pretty much it makes a canoe in the water, and we have a higher chance of getting out without having any head trauma from the aircraft flipping over. So it's a really wise idea. And then I have folks who say, well, what about my tricycle gear? What about my tail dragger? I can't land on my belly because I can't bring the wheels up. that's okay. Try to do a soft field landing in the water. That means we come in, we land as gently as we can on those mains, and we keep the nose wheel off as long as possible. With that shift of the CG, or the center of gravity of the aircraft, and the weight, the more that we shift it to the back, the more that we skid the tail into the water, and hopefully the nose will plunk down versus catching the nose and flipping over. Anticipate that the aircraft will sink. In the chances that it floats, perfect, but you want to get out of that aircraft as soon as possible. Bringing life jackets, purchasing the horse collar ones that you do wear while you fly is critical. So many people say, yeah, back in the cargo area, that's where my life jacket is. I guarantee you will not be able to get to that when the aircraft is in the water. There are phenomenal companies out there that will do ditch training. You can get into a simulator, they will crash you into a pool upside down, shut the lights off, shake it, and they will teach you how to get out of your aircraft. That training has been one of the top trainings that me and other colleagues rave about since the day we took it almost 25 years ago. That training teaches us, even in an airline, when an airline crashes, how many seats in the dark do I need to count backwards to my exit row? How can I open a door if one is blocked underwater? And should I take that big giant breath before the aircraft crashes into the water or after? And the key is that before you impact, you want to take your breath first, because as soon as we feel the cold water, our first intention is to go and catch our breath. And if we are already in the water when that happens, it decreases our chance of survival because we can drown. So the hazards that exist on a highway or roads of choice, power lines are our top choice of things that we need to consider. Your rural roads, your smaller ones, they will have power lines, and it's really hard to fit an aircraft through power lines, including helicopters, gliders, hot air balloons. Highways generally have light poles, or they have large concrete barriers. Headlights are a bad idea, so white lights bad, red lights higher chance of survival because we can land with the moving traffic. We do have a chance to land in the median, but remember, medians can be lumpy, bumpy, there's trees, there's lights, there's power boxes, and there could be cars, like if there was a police officer staged there.